Welcome all to the hunt, and today we shall be hunting the savage Deviljho, the World Eater. Just as the original was created, the savage is fucking bullshit. I hate it with all of my heart. I cannot stand the savage Deviljho. If you saw the original Deviljho episode, that was 2 minutes of me dying consistently to the savage, and that was back in high rank with a lesser version of the savage Deviljho. So how do you think this episode is gonna go while fighting the savage version of him, which is a master rank version with more health, more attack, more movement in his kit, more AoE in his kit that is harder to go? The answer is as good as you think it's gonna be, which is bad. So let's go a little bit over the savage Deviljho, how much different easy than the original, and explain what is the correct way to fight him, which is do not try to hunt the savage Deviljho, for you will have a bad time. So, the savage Deviljho, from lore perspective, is a Deviljho that has been driven mad because he hasn't eaten in a while and he's just incredibly hungry. That's the full breakdown of him, a dragon element just taking control of his body just because of this unruly hunger that he has, so he just becomes a literal savage. So that's a pretty cool piece of lore. If we look at what it does in itself, is that ever since the dragon element has completely, and I do mean completely, taken over the savage Deviljho, I mean just look at his color palette, which by the way is awesome, the red glowing part of his belly. He retains the invader status, he becomes a lot more aggressive, and is a lot harder to de-enrage. Actually, fighting a Deviljho will have you fight it mostly enraged and unenraged, and that's outside of just wallbanging him all the time. He's one of the hardest monsters to de-rage, and most people use a strategy where they use a drug meat in order to make him not as enraged anymore. It's a valid strategy to go about it, and it's really good if you want to wallbang him, if you have temporal mantle and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I do not, so I just have to go about it the old-fashioned way. So, savage Deviljho has a lot of what we call that's f***ing bullshit. As you saw right there, you see that this man has a lot of range. And as you go about fighting him, you go into things where you're like, oh, okay, I'm safe in this space. I can definitely hit him from a safe angle. And then you get to something like this, where he does an AoE attack. You're like, oh, that's f***ing bullshit. And this happens so many times while fighting a savage Deviljho that it's not even funny at one point. It's funny the couple first time, but then you're like, that's f***ing bullshit. And it happens so many goddamn times. It's unbelievable how much I dislike fighting him. The one thing that a Deviljho did not need was more AoE attack in his kit. The Deviljho was already such a hard monster because his aggressiveness, leaning forwards in his attack, his tail range is already hard enough to deal with, that having AoE attack that with lasting hitbox of dragon element is super hard to deal with. Also, you see what I mean? That's fucking bullshit! Oh my god, I hate the skeleton of the Deviljho so much. I know it's based on the Anjanath and the Glavenus and that stuff, but he's way too high. Look at him, he stands way too high than most of the other brood wyverns, and that's fucking bullshit. Nobody should be feeling fine about this. These hitboxes, man, I just can't. Oh my god. So, what's new about his kit? Well, more AoE attacks. He does a lot of Dragon Breath attack that spews out that is nigh impossible to roll through, even with Evade Window 5. You just have to outposition him, which is pretty hard since he has large sweeping attacks are mostly just bullshit to evade through. My god, there's gonna be a lot of censoring in this episode. And my best advice while fighting a Deviljho is don't stay behind him. Stay as much in front as possible as him as you can. And the really unfortunate thing about it is that Deviljho is only a bitch of a time the more defensive you play. If you play really aggressive against Deviljho, you will have a much easier time even against the savage version, because there's lots of ways to stun lock him just like a Tigrex. And actually, just like a Tigrex, it's just your aggressiveness really varies the flow of the fight. There's loads of way to actually stun lock this beast. The biggest and foremost example is usually where he goes for a diving bite attack, where you will slide across the ground as he reels back in. As soon as he goes for his biting attack, if you smack him in the head, he will reel back and go for a free topple. And that's huge amount of damage you can deal on Deviljho. Unbelievably easy just from knowing when to actually stun lock, which is why I'm saying that the Savage Deviljho is an extremely easy monster to fight if you're more aggressive than he is. Then again, he has loads of attack patterns that you simply can't do anything about. And then again, I still go by this theory that hanging out by his behind side, the tail side, is much more dangerous because he can flip on the 180, making him a lot more dangerous. And if you're in front of him, you have a lot more opportunities to just change your positioning from his swipes to his tail moves to his biting attack to his 180 completely overall. And I believe it's just a superior way of fighting it. Now, does that mean it's the ultimate way? No. If you're fighting range, by the way, never fight a Deviljho range. It's basically asking for a death sentence. Yes, you can get a lot of stun lock potential with this, but it's also requiring a lot better positioning abilities. The fact of the matter is, if you're going for a ranged weapon against a Savage Deviljho or Deviljho, first of all, he has a lot more projectile. He has the cube dragon beam. He has the spewing in a wide sweeping area, dragon breath. His pounce attacks are just as terrifying. His chasing motions are unbelievably awful to deal with. So just be very, very mindful. You need to know his kit is super well if you're gonna go against him. See that tail almost just killed me from just trying to sidestep this thing. Oh my god. And let's take a little bit of time to look at the math. So, when it comes to heads on values, average of 37, head on 40, head broken 55, neck 22, chest 45, chest broken 60, back 20, forelegs 20, hind legs 33, tails 36, and tail broken on 40. Don't go for the tail, it's impossible to deal with. And if, like I said, the best strategy is to stay in front of him, his best area is clearly the chest to go for. If you have something that can reach really high, like a switch axe and or a longsword, that would be ideal. The problem is trying to get some counter moves for the longsword is kind of hard to deal with. Since he moves so much, the switch axe can be hard to like make sure that your buff is up, or at least that your sword mode can be up a long enough time that you can deal damage to the chest. But the chest is clearly the best way to go around it. What's interesting is the dragon weaknesses. Somehow, while this thing is weak to a lot of elements, it is weakest to dragon, which is just interesting. You wouldn't think a dragon beast would be extremely weak to dragon to begin with, but I am not making the lore of ecology of this. There's a lot of theories that can go around this. My personal theory is that's just that the dragon element in itself can poison him further, since it's already kind of killing him from the inside and enslaving him into a relentless hunger that he cannot quench. So if that's what they're going for, I guess it's kind of a neat element. Even so, you don't really need preferences in order to take on certain parts of the Deviljho. Although I will say, it's interesting that he has just as high of a weakness to lightning as he does with dragon. But in general, if you're going to deal max amount of damage, dragon element for a elemental weapon is your best, the best thing you can potentially bring on. Which, if you're going again with bow or dual blades like I am, that is pretty much exactly what you need to do. Can't say that I'm a fan of fighting with short-range weapons like the dual blades, but hey, if I ever have a shot at actually fighting any of those monsters and succeeding, it's most likely with these weapons. So, sometime you just gotta bite the bullet and do what needs to be done. Oh my god. So overall thoughts, if you're gonna fight the Deviljho, stay just below his chest. That is usually the best point to go at. It's a big weak spawn. When he's in range, he even takes even more damage about that. And just make sure that you stand correctly in the right position so you can reposition quickly. If you have a quick dodge move like the quick shot from the dual blades, that is best to avoid the sweeping and the swipes and the biting. And watch out for the tail. It has surprising amount of hitboxes that can linger and be really, really hardcore. I don't like this monster. I don't like how it was designed. I like the fact that it's an invader, but overall, it's just a painful fight. Yeah, it's pretty painful. It's really painful, actually. Wait. You know what? F*** it.
Uh-oh.
Thank God it's over. 8 minutes!